don't think we should talk about this.
Come on, why not?
People might misunderstand what we're trying to say, you know?
No, but that's a part of life.
You're tuned into Adult Industry Talk, the live interactive talk show on internet radio which promotes the talents, products and services of professionals and organizations worldwide in the sex and adult entertainment industry. This show is for a mature audience. The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are not necessarily those of the production team. We hope you enjoy the show. Joining us again, we're at the Charlie Spice house with the Charlie Spice Angels. Yes, it was my birthday yesterday. I'm 35 years old. Thank you very much.
And he's also a compulsive liar.
Well, hey, you know, nobody really needs to know. Cares anyway, you know. Well, anyway, we had a fantastic show last time. Bella, we had some amazing response to the show. Lisa, you missed a great event. The show before, Bella, you missed a great event, and
I know.
Stats are looking quite good. That's right. I spoke to our guest last week, Domina L, afterwards, and she's so excited about having been on the show, and she's looking forward to coming on the show sometime in the future. Did you get to hear any of the show, Lisa?
Yes, I did. I listened to the show. It was very interesting. It was quite interesting to have two pro-doms on the show and listening to their different perspectives of everything. I just wish I'd love to know more about their actual work they do perform, and I'm sure the listeners would love to hear more, some of the interesting details.
I'm going to beg them for more questions about this. I do have a number of questions and comments. And this week I've decided this show, I'm definitely going to tackle some of these questions. We've got two blogs we want to play at the beginning, and we'll discuss them, and then we'll get right into some of the responses we've had. Also, there were a few topics that we touched in the episode where you were absent, Bella, that I want to raise and get your opinion on. I think that
sure.
One that was about the female genital mutilation, circumcision, blah blah blah. We'll get to that, but let us just quickly go through. Lisa, I was unable to put your blogs into a reel, so since they're just two blogs, I'm going to play them one after the other, and we'll have a chat on them right after. Okay?
Okay. CBS reports study. Women have better sex lives after getting breast implants. According to a recent study, women may enjoy a spicier sex life after they receive breast implants. Although the study size was small, researchers found that women experience a significant boost in their arousal and sexual satisfaction after they had surgery. I think that the female breast is a very important part of a woman's body in terms of how a woman feels about herself in public, how her clothes fit, and how she feels about her sexuality, said Dr. David Reith, Chair of Public Education Committee of American Society of Plastic Surgeons, told Health Day News. It's very common for a woman's post-surgery to say she feels more confident that her outward body now fits her inward persona.
You know, that's very interesting, ladies. Is it a case where the bigger the breast, the more sensation you feel sexually?
I would
not
say
necessarily.
No.
Yeah, definitely not. First of all, hold on. So let me understand. The format is we're going to go ahead and comment on this because I have several comments that I want to shoot out at you about this.
Okay. Let's go for it. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I want to know your thoughts on this. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to give our listeners a little bit of inside information in case they couldn't tell. I was with Lisa when she recorded that soundbite, and Lisa went, How do you say it? Oh, that's the phrase. High as a fucking kite. I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear she's practically giving her microphone a fucking blowjob at this point. But I digress. Allow me, if you will. I've digressed. Specific to the points that were raised. It's not to have a study about that sort of thing. To me, is a waste of perfectly good funds that could be otherwise utilized. I'm not going to say now, as I am a very large tested woman, 5th day double E borderline F myself, so I know the merits of the social and basic merits of having massive breasts and what they do for you sexually, what they do for your self-esteem, social standing, etc., etc. So to say that getting breast implants are somehow organically aligned with a woman's sexuality or her experiencing better sex, I think it's not necessarily true. But what is true is that when a woman or when anyone feels good about their body, feels good about themselves, feels confident, they perform better. They are also more amenable to trying different things, pushing their boundaries and moving out of their comfort zones. So it's not as if the actual implant, that saline implant or anything, creates this for you as much as it stimulates. It's a catalyst to a woman feeling better about herself. Is it necessary across the board? No. Flat-chested woman, big-breasted woman, you determine how comfortable you are with your body. If big breasts do that for you, then yes. Ladies and gents, tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay.
I quite
agree with you. And one of the reasons I do agree with you, this study really focused on breast implants, where it could have been done on generally most of the plastic surgeons or cosmetic surgery that women do. And I do believe it's got to do with a woman feeling confident about herself and being happy with her body. Because when you feel confident with yourself, because I know with myself when I transitioned, when I did look into the mirror and I saw myself as a woman, I felt sexy. And I felt more happy about myself. So I suppose these women that do have these breast implants, when they look at themselves in the mirror and they feel and see, maybe they do want large breasts, and then when they look at themselves, they feel sexy, and that will definitely improve their sex life when they are with their partner, whether it's male or female, and because they're going to feel totally comfortable in their body.
Allow me, if I was told on a number of occasions that when women have implants, it does decrease the sensitivity or the sensations they feel sexually. Is there truth in that?
There is truth in that statement, but it's a very relative thing. Dependent on how the surgery is done, some surgeons decide to go in around the areola. Some make incisions under the breast, I suppose dependent on how much skin is there, as well as how large the implants are going to be. The surgery can be done in different ways. And that can determine, as well as the aftercare, can determine how much sensitivity is maintained or is lost. So I think it really is dependent on how it's done. But to say across the board that women would lose 100% sensitivity, no, that's not true. It really is dependent upon how the surgery is done and what aftercare steps are taken.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go on to the next blog, and then we'll discuss. And then on to the comments from the listeners.
The Huffington Post reports, son takes photos of his own mother having sex. To most people, just the idea of witnessing your mother in the throes of passion is enough to make you spontaneously gag or want to scrub your eyeballs in bleach. Lee Ladar, on the other hand, has decided to embrace the most extreme of mother-son bonds, embracing the relationship that would leave Sigmund Freud rubbing his hands with glee. Ladar takes pictures of his mother, Tina, posing naked, having sex with other young men, all in the name of art, of course. Some of the titles of his series, entitled Pretending You're Actually Alive, include the delicately termed Mom Spread with a Lamp and Mom Fucking in the Mirror. And they are not for the easily offended or for those who want to hold onto their breakfast.
it's difficult to not to that we're laughing at Lisa, but knowing that she's high as a kite when she's reading this. And
okay, I'm guilty. I confess.
Yeah,
I do confess.
I would not have known, Lisa, if Bella hadn't said anything. I wouldn't have known. So you have to blame. You have to blame Bella for this.
No. I take no responsibility for this. Any of our loyal listeners, any of our loyal audience members, and I know you guys are out there. Thank you so much for staying with us. Anybody who knows Lisa and has heard her read the news live or has even heard a recording knows for a fact that Lisa is never this slutty or campy.
So getting back to the blog, I would hate to see any of my relatives, close relatives, in that situation. I mean, come on. Thoughts, ladies?
I think that what is being discussed, what is being done now. Granted, this guy is doing it under the guise or under the umbrella of it being art or whatever. Fuck that. Let's give Jack his jacket. Call a spade a spade. He obviously has some unexplored fetishes, or he is aware of these fetishes and decided to use them as an impetus for his artwork. Now, specific to the fetish, the incest fetish is, or the incest fantasy roleplay is a predominant niche for fetishists and for people who enjoy roleplays. It is not uncommon. It's not weird. I don't think that it makes you in any way defunct or disgusting. And in terms of the ones specifically that are popular, so you do have the mummy and son regime, but there's also the daddy-daughter. There's also the brother-sister, the dirty uncle. All of these things, sure, it's not that you actually want to fuck your mother or that you actually want daddy's cock buried balls deep inside of you. That's not what these things are about. That's not what they do. The role play is the relinquishing of control, the fact that these people represent people in our lives who have a lot of power and authority.
Yeah.
It's about doing something that's so wrong in a safe space through role play. You're not going to actually lay down and bed your mother and ask her for a hand job. But when you're fantasizing about that with your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, or whatever, it's you get to fuck the entity that you love and impart something that you otherwise couldn't do. I think it's beautiful. Please jump in here.
Yeah,
Lisa, how does this article move you?
No, Bella, you touched on something so true there. We have to be honest that there is this fantasy, there is this incestuous fantasy out there, that many people do it. I remember growing up as a boy, there was a saying that boys, if they used to see a beautiful mother, they would always say to their friends, oh, if I had a mother like that, I'd make my own brothers and sisters.
Yep.
And I'm sure a lot of people have at some point in time, have had some incestuous fantasy, whether it's with their cousin or even their sister. Because I remember reading some blogs once about men were saying they had fantasies about having sex with their sisters, and the responses they were getting that you are so disgusting, you are totally crazy, and things like this. And I was thinking, you know what? These are fantasies. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to carry out this in the physical sense.
Exactly. I have to say this. Another part of the business and the service that I provide is that I write erotica. I write tailored erotica for clients who can't find the quality of content that they're looking for. And what has always been a big seller for me has been the incest roleplay fantasies, and even in my sessions, some of the most enjoyable sessions for me, and I enjoy all of them, but the most enjoyable sessions are the ones where I get to play somebody's naughty mummy who's caught her son masturbating with her panties. It's beautiful. It's wrong. It's decrepit. It's a little twisted, and in that is all that fucking sexual energy. And if you can't be safe with your fantasies, then what the fuck else do we have? Honestly.
It's interesting that when certain people of high standing have habits or fetishes, fantasies, it's somehow de facto acceptable or legitimate because of who they are. Because some of the people with the more foul fetishes and fantasies are magistrates and doctors and lawyers and lawmakers in general. And it's interesting, when someone who is from the marginalized sector of society is involved in something, it's not good. It's taboo.
Charlie, may I meander just a tad on a point that you made there, in terms of you making the contrast between people of different social standings. I can tell you this, and I've learned this firsthand. The more obscene the wealth or money or access to funds somebody is, the more depraved they are sexually. Now, this is not a hard and fast fact. This is not for everybody, but I have seen it for myself, and I've discussed it with other professional dominants, that the people who are our clients usually form within a minimum financial bracket. But for those who have lots more wealth, money, it's so much stupid money that they don't know what to do with it. Regular, vanilla, traditional sex does not appeal to them at all. Even things that are just a little taboo still don't appeal to them. They crave the cruel and unusual, the vile and the obscure. It's incredible, and of course they are not, and they get into some really nasty and borderline illegal things, and they don't get penalized because their wealth cloaks them. But for the average Joe and Mary, who like to pretend to be brother and sister in their bedroom, God forbid they had an open conversation about it with their friends without them being chastised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Lisa, before we go on to some of the comments from the listeners, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I am pretty sure. I mean, if you look at a lot of the video clips, and you probably see the video clips that involve brother-sister sex scenes or mother-daughter, father-daughter and mother-son, you probably find a lot of people are viewing these because they get so turned on by just the thought of it,
Yep, exactly.
Of the fantasy. And even though, when you're watching that video clip, they're not really brother and sister. But let's put it out this to the listeners. I can guarantee you there are so many men out there that also fantasize about having twins, two women together, and
who
being
are
able to see that are sisters and seeing them kiss together, caress each other, play with each other's boobs, and go down on each other.
Yep.
I'll be interested to see just how many guys are brave enough to email you and say, yes, I do that.
What I
like. I don't think anyone is brave enough to call on this show with the three of us, but let's hope that some of them are. Now, when you were in the show, Bella, Lisa and I tackled a subject which was brought about by one of the listeners. This is a gentleman by the name of Derek from Essex in the UK. He said, "Dear Charlie, Bella, and Lisa, great show. I recently saw a documentary about female genital mutilation, the act of practicing the act of cutting off women's genitalia, and it's not thought of to be a religious thing. It's more of a social thing, where men feel that this, of course, is going to keep their women from, having sexual pleasures, which is what they ideally would prefer. What are your thoughts on this, since you were not present that day?
I believe that body mutilation and body modification is a beautiful thing when it is consensual and when you're of an age to consent, whatever your reasonings are. Specific to what they're talking about, when it comes to female genital mutilation, quite apart from destroying the external vagina, what is actually done is the removal of the clitoris, and in some extreme cases, even the sewing up and closing of the vaginal hole. And the reason behind it is, let's make sure that the woman does not feel any sexual pleasure. Therefore, she, 1, will not cheat on me, 2, will not have sex before she's married, and 3, this makes her a lot more pure in my eyes, meaning that I would be the only person who had access to this orifice. I think this is one of the epitomes of misogyny. And even though they are socially and culturally accepted in many parts of the world, I think that this is an infraction of female human rights. I think it's disgusting, it's deplorable, and any government or governing body that presides over a people that would allow this to happen, I think is lax and is fucking backward. Those are my thoughts, in a nutshell about it.
Today as well.
It's very primitive.
Yes, right. And it goes on today, even in London, in England. I understand that many people are brought into the UK to perform these procedures, and girls are flown out to wherever they're from originally to have it done. And sometimes it's done not in sterile environments, and the tools. It's sometimes a razor's used, a knife, but before in Africa they would make knives from stone to do it.
Yeah, and you're dealing with the fallout of things like massive infection and sepsis. And again, you discussed that they're not being these surgeries, and that's what they are. These surgeries are being botched and done in conditions that are not sterile, using very primitive tools. I don't understand how you could look at your fellow human, somebody who is younger than you, or somebody who is just not the same gender as you, and make such an executive decision on her vagina, on her sex, like that. It's beyond me. It's exploitive, it's dangerous, and it's filthy.
On that same subject there, I'm just wondering, and maybe Bella would know the answer to this. These women that have had this done, that grow up, I wonder if there's any surgery that can try and correct the damage that has been done. I know if you have your clitoris removed, I wonder if there is any way they can do any cosmetic surgery to try and bring back or reconnect some kind of feeling there.
What can happen is reconstructive surgery can be done, where you can reclaim or rather restore the aesthetic of the vagina, but dependent on how the surgery was initially done, there may be no salvageable nerve ending. So you will have the look of a pussy, but not necessarily the function. It really would depend on how deep the incisions were made, if there was any sort of sepsis, so that the nerves and flesh would have rotted to a point where they would not be usable or being able to be regenerated. So it's very touch and go. It really is situationally dependent.
In the description offered by the World Health Organization, it said that the vagina is closed up to the point where they can still urinate and also have menstruation. Upon or just before marriage, apparently there's some reversal procedures done to make her ready for marriage. So there is a point at which something is reversed. I don't know the...
It would probably be just the reopening of the vaginal canal, allowing the man, and that is not for her, that's for the man to be able to push himself inside of her.
Oh, good Lord! I understand that when it's done, they have to bind the legs together to keep them closed so that they do not rupture the healing of it, and that leads to all kinds of complications as well. Lisa, you were about to say something.
Yeah, just one comment, just for the listeners, especially for the male listeners, for them to try understand and get a feeling of what these women go through. Imagine you as a male having the head of your penis removed, and I think by removing the clitoris is on the same par. And the reason I'm saying this, because I know for a fact that when I do have my surgery, what they actually do is they will still keep a portion of my head of my penis, which is connected with the nerve endings, and that is going to be created to become my clitoris. So, yeah, guys out there, just imagine how would you feel like if you had the head of your penis cut off.
Exactly.
What disturbs me is that the older ladies who have had it done years ago, the mothers and the grandmothers, they force these daughters and granddaughters to have this happen when they've been through the whole procedure before. They know how painful it is, how disturbing it is, and how dangerous it is, and yet they continue to force their daughters and granddaughters to have this. I mean,
but
when are they
going to? The thing with it, Charlie, is that this is the product of social and cultural conditioning. This is all that they know. And it's considered inappropriate and disrespectful of your culture to think or feel or seek otherwise. But that's not a get out of jail free card by any means. You know the pain that is done, and you must know, if you search even the most shallow recesses of your mind, you must know that this is an invasive and an incorrect, unfair procedure. So, you have to make a decision between being loyal to your culture and being loyal to your basic human rights, and I guess it's just not happening.
Well, the way they do deal with that, Bella, I know in some countries like in Africa where they've actually made it a law that you cannot, even though it is their cultural belief, the countries have been brave enough to make it a law to stop this, because they do have to break the cycle where they have to stop this, and then in generations to come, as long as you can break that cycle, their cultural cycle, in the future this should not exist.
Agreed.
Wow. Okay. Well, look, let's move on to another comment. This is for you specifically, Bella. This is a guy called Bob from London, and he seems to be in love with you. He says, Bella, I love your outspoken attitude and your sexy voice. I have no imagination of your life. Would you be so kind as to give me a description of yourself, and also how do I get in touch with you?
He also all right, for a description of myself, I am a buxom, full-figured, caramel-colored woman. I'm 5'9". I think I've already given the statistics when it comes to my tits, but I'll give it to you again because it does bear repeating. My breasts are 58 double E, borderline F. In terms of my hair changes with the fucking wind. Right now it's short, it's dead straight, it's a fiery blonde and red going on. It just because red's my favorite color. And in terms of contacting me, you can find me via Twitter very easily. You just search @BigBellaNova. And in terms of contacting me directly via email, you can always get me at RoxyBellaBaby@gmail.com, and I'm available via Skype as well at Lady Bellanova. Very simple. It's all within the same niche, but I think at the end of the show we can always go through our contact information again, just because I know that there are going to be some people who want to liaise with Lisa the Pleaser at some point. But yeah, I hope my description of myself sufficed and enticed you further to want to connect.
By the way,
it worked for me, Bella. It worked for me.
By the way, Charlie,
I'm sure it's going to work for Bob. Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
No, by the way, Charlie, the name that Bella just mentioned, that's the name she gave me. I now have totally embraced it.
I told
Lisa
her.
the Pleaser. So I too have a Twitter account where I can use that Lisa Victor.
Fantastic. You guys seem to have quite a lot of communication off air. We have to talk about that.
We do. We do.
Oh yes, we do.
Okay. We have someone from Toronto who prefers to remain anonymous. This is for Bella, Lisa, and Charlie. You guys seem to know quite a lot about sex. I need some advice. I can never get an orgasm when my husband gives me oral sex, and it really happens when there's actual penetration. I had an affair with a man, who is also married, and he made me come effortlessly every time we had sex. My husband recently found out about my affair, and I decided to end it as I still love him dearly and I do not want to break up our family. What advice would you give me on and penetrative sex with my husband?
Okay. Lisa, do you want to take this or can I take forward?
No, you can take it. I just want to have a quick little comment there. I think the best way for any couple is to try and be honest with each other. If your partner is not pleasing you or doing something wrong, there are ways to try and instruct them or try and encourage them to say, look, I'm actually more turned on if you do things this way or that way. And there should be communication between couples, and I think that is very important. Well, Bella, I'll let you carry on.
Okay, so to the person who wrote in, the issues that she has described, it's not one issue. We're dealing with several issues, and all of them they are all very deep-seated. To deal, I will start with the sexual issue. If you cannot come from penetrative sex, understand that's not something that's exclusive to you. Most women do not come from penetrative sex. They love how it feels, but it is usually only when they are clitorally stimulated that they're able to achieve an orgasm. That being said, if your partner goes down on you and that doesn't do it for you, you would need to take front and instruct him. You have to be vocal about what pleases you. Maybe his tongue is pointed. Is he flattening it out? Is he focusing on your clitoris? Do you like having your lips licked? Do you also like having a finger pushed up your ass? You have to know what would please you and be vocal about expressing that to him. That's going to help your sex life. But your sex life dying the way that it is a direct result of the relationship dying. You and your husband have issues. If you've gone as far to the point where you are having an affair with someone else, it means that there is a disconnect. You may love him and you may love your family, but you may not be in love with your husband any longer. And your desire to keep the family together may force you to put your sexual self on the back burner. You have to make the decision and decide if that's something you're willing to do. In terms of breaking apart your family, sure, the dissolution of any marriage can break apart a family. You have to decide, how old are my kids? Do I put myself before my children at this point? Do I stay together for them? Is this something that can be fixed with therapy? You must always, I believe, before you jump ship on anything, exhaust all your resources to fix something. And if it is irreparable, then you have to walk away. Go to the therapy, have those conversations with him, broaden your sexual horizons with him. And if after all of that, it's still defunct, it's still not working, then it's probably in both your best interest to walk away.
I have a view on this that I want to share with you and the listeners. It can be very difficult, and if not impossible, when there's that disconnect sexually and emotionally. There's no amount of communication in some instances that will fix that. I think that some people fool themselves that, okay, you know what, you didn't give 20 years. Let's talk you through it now. I think some people are just not matched, you know.
That is true, Charlie. There is something. There is no chemistry. There has to be chemistry between the two people. And sometimes I think people are just attracted by each other physically. just purely by looks, and there is this initial passion between the two of them. But then as they progress with their relationship, they realize their chemistry is not really there, and it's never really been there to begin with. It's just something new to both of them.
I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with two mature people deciding, there's no chemistry, but, we have a family, we have kids, we have a future, we've got a good... Let us work something out. But just being realistic is not a bad thing. How many people can actually do that? Bella, any thoughts on that?
In terms of chemistry, I'm not sure. Did the audience member let us know how long she was married? How long is she in this marriage?
Oh, none of that.
None of that? Okay, see, now that's very important. Now, if she's in the marriage for a significant amount of time, then the onus would have been on her early on, once she realized that there was no chemistry or there was a dimming of chemistry, to do something about it. You can make these sort of decisions, 2 years in, 1 year in, even I'll go as far as 5 years in, that chemistry have died. But if you're in the 10-year plus, you must have fucking known that the chemistry was dying. And too many people in relationships like to take a backseat role. They want to sit down, shut the fuck up, and be passive-aggressive about their complaints and their issues. A relationship is a living thing. It is a breathing, functional, vibrant entity. And if you're not contributing to it, it is going to fucking die. I don't want the listener to believe that I'm cross with her. I'm not. I don't know her. And there are many metrics to her situation, I'm sure, that have been omitted. But, again, chemistry, just like anything else, while chemistry cannot be syntheticized, it has to be catered to. It has to be tailored to. And when you see that it's not working, it's not working, you either do something about it or you part ways amicably. But you don't fucking wait 20 years, 15 years into something and then decide, okay, now I have a problem with chemistry, when it would have been presented itself earlier.
Yeah, of course, certainly. And everything is down to the individuals as well. I mean, one problem would require one solution. The same problem with two other people require a different solution. But it's all very good comment. I really appreciate your input on that. And Lisa, you as well. Let us go on to the next comment. We have a guy from Miami. His name is Corey. Now, Corey says, I have heard often the phrase, once a whore, always a whore.
Okay.
Corey's getting straight to the point. He's not mixing his words at all. He might be related to you, Bella. Might be relative of yours. Anyway, once a whore, always a whore. Can a sex worker really retire from the industry and normal society? It's normal, but anyway, and then he goes on to ask, can she fit into a normal office job? Can she get married and settle down? Wow.
Can I?
Wow.
May I?
I couldn't stop you if I wanted to.
Thank you. Corey, thank you for your listenership. Fuck off. I am sorry, but fuck off. That question, it's so backward. I don't even know how to begin to answer it, but I'm going to give it the old college try. Once a whore, always a whore. First of all, you are assuming that, but you are alluding, rather, that being a whore is a bad thing. So she may not want to. She may not want to change her lifestyle, her earning style, and more power to her. But just, to humor you, since you've created a scenario where there is a whore, a prostitute, a sex worker, who wants to make that change, can she do it? She's only limited by her own potential and self-assessment. She may have to move. If she sees clients locally, it may be very difficult to transition from sex work to non-sex work. And I'm not going to say normal because fuck you, sex work is normal. Get it together. But should she want to transition, into the point where she is doing a 9-to-5 job or something that's more office work or whatever, she might have to move. Is this impossible? No, it's not impossible. Any smart hooker, just like any person who is working, would have tried to amass some savings so that should things go south in her industry or in any industry, he or she would be able to move on and try something else. Can you ever really retire? It depends. Have you formulated a 401k plan? Have you come up with a retirement package or prospectus for yourself? Again, it's very situation dependent. But the aspersion that Corey from Miami made, that normal, Corey, I have several dicks in a bowl that you can suck.
I want to intervene, on this. Yes. Okay, sorry, Bella. I have to
give it a try.
Kind of disagree a little with you, because as coming from the male, I think that was a very legitimate question coming from a male, because this question was posed to me when I was researching and writing my first book. And I did extensively research this for more than 20 years, speaking to women in the sex industry. And Corey, to a direct answer, I do believe that there are women that does not apply to all women in the sex work. Because there are women that I knew that were in the sex business for whatever reason, and they have actually met their husbands through their sex business, and especially this is related to what I saw in islands like Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and St. Martin. And they've actually gone on to live very happy family lives with these men that they've met. And they have not gone back to the sex work. They've gone on to live productive family lives. So that is, Bella, I really understand. That is a question that many, many men do ask. And it's.
I don't support him if he's asking the question in a derogatory way, in a demeaning way. I don't support. It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate concern, and I'm sure many women in the sex industry have that same concern as well. But
I'm sure that.
Yes.
Okay, Charlie. Let me rephrase this a little way. What I think he could be also implying is. And I'll tell you why, because I do have some male friends that have married women in the sex business that have left the sex business. Now, some of their worries is will my wife stay loyal to me, or will she be sneaking out at the opportunity to go back to
Lisa,
that work?
No, Lisa, I'm sorry to interject, but I have to.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just saying what his thoughts are, Bella. I'm just saying what his thoughts are. Now, I did speak to a woman here in Canada.
Hold on, Bella. Go on, Lisa. No. Finish that.
Okay, Bella, I did speak to a woman here in Canada that actually stopped working in the sex business. And so I said to her, are you able to separate? She went back and she studied, went to college, and I said, are you able to keep away? She says, you know what, I miss the excitement. She does miss it, She misses that thrill of having that sex, waiting to see who's going to be at that door when the door knocks. So she says she does miss that.
Let's let Bella come in here. Bella, come on, let's have that view.
I am woman enough to concede in one point. It is a valid question, and I spoke from a defensive position simply because I have interacted with that question before, and just based on Corey's phrasing, he may have innocently posed it, but based on his phrasing, I felt as if it was an attack, as if he was casting some aspersions. Based on what both of you just relayed, yes, it is a valid question, and for some sex workers, for some prostitutes, it is also a valid concern because they may not have the financial or socioeconomic resources to switch careers at whatever point in their lives. But based on the scenario that Lisa just put out, where a guy would ask, I've married a hooker, but I'm worried that she's going to go out and sneak off. And no. If your woman, if your wife, if your lover is sneaking off to have sex with somebody else, it's not because she was a former prostitute. It's because she's unhappy in the relationship, or she is a cheater, or you're not pleasing her, or she is just not a monogamous person and she's a dishonest person. I don't think there's any difference between a prostitute being infidelitous and a woman who is not a prostitute being infidelitous. Being infidelitous is not synonymous on the providing end of sex work. That's not what it is, because sex workers are furiously and passionately loyal to their clients. That's how we are. We are in relationships with them at some level for as long as we can do it, not just because of the money, but because it's part of who we are. It's part of maintaining your brand. To say that you're worried that your wife is going to sneak out and have sex behind, shut up. No, not even having it.
But Bella, you are one of a number of people in the industry who have got such a solid grasp on your career, your future, where you stand, your consciousness. There are many sex workers out there who are not as in control of their existence in the industry as you are. And I'll tell you something. There's something to be said about once a whore, always a whore. Okay, I don't like his choice of words, but I've heard it from many people. And when you go into the industry, you gain an education about people, a consciousness, a reality. You're a no nonsense person. You don't fool yourself anymore. You see the real side of people. It changes you forever, and it can be quite difficult fitting back in, because I swear to God, I mean, I have been a sex worker to where I was paid to suck pussy and suck dick, like girls are paid to suck dick. So I know, and I can't say I'm unscathed by that. And I remember when I started managing the careers of escorts around the world. There was a point at which I could not look at a woman unless I could get for her. If she worked for me as an escort, well, could I charge $500 for her, $300? I mean, I couldn't get it out of my system. And even today, I mean, look at the talk show I'm doing. It's about the sex industry, for Christ's sake. So it does really beg an answer to a very legitimate question, and that is, can we really fit back in? And I think people are like you, Bella.
That is so true.
You are so adjusted. You are so in control of who you are and what you do, and you're not as scathed by it as other people. A lot of people are damaged forever, when they go into this industry.
I will say that. I will agree with that.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, I've seen sex workers already. This is back in Latvia years ago, about 17 years ago. I took a girl who was living with a friend. She was just turned 18. She was living with a girlfriend, and she was $5 for an hour. This is years ago. Took her, bought her some clothes, took her to the dentist, got her hair done, blah 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 blah. And a week later, I'm charging $200. Okay, she's now making more than double what she was making before. And every time I turn her back, she would go around the corner and charge $25 when I wasn't looking.
Wow.
I mean, you see what I mean? Sometimes you can't change the way people think sometimes.
You know what? That I have to agree with you, Charlie. That is a bottom line. People might be subject or pervious to influence and suggestion, but at the end of the day, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it really is 100% up to you. It's your decision to fight something or not fight something. So I have to agree. You're right. You are correct in that regard.
I actually have a question for both of you.
Yes, go ahead.
No, sorry, I have a question for both of you, because your extent of being in the sex business. My experience in the sex business was in the past where I would observe it, but I was a client, not supplying the service. Now, the question that I hear some of the women that are in the business, when they meet a man that they feel they're going to establish a relationship with, one of the comments I heard that a woman said to a sex worker, if he really loves you, he will not accept the work that you do. Can you give me your opinions on that comment?
This is interesting. I was actually reading another comment with one eye, focus on something else with another. That's interesting. Did you get that, Bella?
The comment made to the sex worker is, if he really loves you, he will not accept the work that you do?
Yeah, that was an opinion from another friend given to the sex worker. They said, and she was in general saying, when you find your right man, it will be somebody that will not accept you as a sex worker.
I disagree vehemently. The minute that love becomes conditional, then it is not love. That's not love. That is control. That is insecurity. That is a lack of trust. What she does professionally is not necessarily aligned with who she is or her capacity to love or to be loyal to her man. And if he's going into a relationship with her, and he's making this request or this edict that sorry, I can't love you unless you stop doing that work, then it's not love. That's not love at all. Okay, here's another question I'll pose on the very same subject. The woman can look at this man that she's met, and she can question his true love for her. Does he really, truly love me, or is he secretly so turned on by the fact that I'm fucking all these guys for money? You know, there are guys, a lot out there. I know even myself in particular, if I see or hear of a woman that's in the business, I actually get turned on just knowing that she's fucking somebody else, you know. So I am a little bit different. Wow, guys. I can see
that. Can I say something? I'm the first person to advise a sex worker not to have a relationship while you're working. It can be so bloody difficult to find a man or a woman to accept you as a sex worker. Let me tell you, I don't care who tells you, it's okay, I love you, I'll accept it. Let me tell you something. It takes a very special person to accept that. And there are not many of them out there. There are not many of them out there. And I always tell the girls that I am associated with, listen, sex work and relationships just don't go in the same bloody sentence. I'm sorry. I would rather not have a professional relationship with someone who is trying a relationship on the side, because I know it's going to be trouble.
Charlie, I hate to interject. I'm just looking at our timestamp. Do you think that maybe we could tackle another question?
We got time. I know it's going into the hour. We can actually go over the hour, but yes, of course, absolutely. Okay, actually, all that we just said relates to the next comment question from the listener, and this guy says, this is DJ from New York. He says, "Hi, Charlie. After having sex with so many different partners, can a prostitute truly appreciate and enjoy sex in a normal relationship? I have been involved in a relationship with an escort for months. I'm in love with her, but I cannot get the thought that she has had sex with so many other men and women before me out of my mind. This has become the basis of so many arguments. I'm seriously thinking of breaking off the relationship. What can I do?"
Okay.
This is DJ from New York.
DJ from New York. I'll tell you my personal experience. When I started being a dominant professionally, I thought that I could make the distinction that who I was sexually in a personal light could just stay separate and apart. It didn't for me, specifically because it was only through doing it as work that I realized that this is how I naturally am. So it has changed. how I am in a relationship, what I like sexually in a relationship, but my appreciation for sex with a partner that I've chosen to be with personally has not changed. What you have to consider is this. First of all, you have to deal with your own insecurities about your girlfriend's current or past professional sexual self. That's something that you have to deal with. She can't change that for you. That's on you. Another thing that you have to consider is this. There is a huge difference between a client and a lover. And if she has made the executive decision, I know I say that a lot, it's my favorite phrase, if she has made the executive decision to be in a relationship with you, it's obvious that she likes you, she enjoys you, and she enjoys being intimate with you. That means that she has set you apart. And I don't think that this woman, again, I don't know her, but I don't think any woman is going to tolerate something or make a choice to be in a relationship with somebody that she didn't like, that she, unless of course there were other mitigating circumstances or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But specific to your situation, this girl likes you. She's a sex worker, full stop, next sentence. She likes you. She's your fucking girlfriend. She enjoys you. What you give to her may be completely different than what she's getting from her clients. And again, it's also very separate. If she is able to separate these lives, even though there is one line in common, you have to work on being able to separate it too. You have to know that when your woman is home, when you come into the house and she comes in after you, when she has her shower and you guys are sitting on the sofa eating dinner together and you're having foreplay and you're kissing her, you're putting your mouth on hers, you're entering her, you're feeling her. That's something that she is giving to you for no other reason than she enjoys you. She loves her sex and she enjoys having sex with you. That's what you need to focus on.
Yeah, Bella, I agree with you there because I do have a personal... Yeah, sorry, no, I also had a very personal experience similar to that. In my past life as a male and having sex with so many sex workers, I found I did come across quite a few women that I had such a great connection with. And I knew when we were having sex together, it was real. It was true sex. They would... really I could feel that we were very intimate. And it is, when you say that, not only is there a physical connection, but there's an emotional connection involved there. And so I do believe that a sex worker can find that one person and actually fall in love with that person.
Okay, well, thank you very much, ladies. Let us go on to the next question. This is somewhat different. This is a lady called Pam from Miami. She sent an email saying, "Hi guys, love your show. Here's a thought I would love your views on. Why do many gay men act normal when they're still in the closet and then act so effeminate when they're out?"
Okay.
We seem to become the experts of all sexuality. Go ahead.
That's not, I love that people are considering us an authority on certain things. I'm trying to put it in a circumstantial view for Pam from Miami.
I could answer with mine. I'll get back to you, Bella, and just to maybe help out here. I kind of know what they're meaning because I dealt with me being a male prior and knowing that I had this transgender persona within me. But when I did come out, I felt that I could finally be myself. So my answer to that is when they're out in public, they are not, when they're acting really macho, and that they're not being themselves. And when they are in their closet, in the feminine, they are being themselves, their true selves.
I think also what has to be mentioned is that not all homosexual men are effeminate. There are many of them who are, but not all of them are. And if she's giving an example of one person or a group of people, I can tell it's exactly as Lisa has said. When you have to cloak or hide who you are based on the societal fallback or kickback rather. You're dealing with issues with your family, with your work, your relationships or whatever. You must suppress it. So you end up overcompensating. You're the manlier man. You're the guy who can cut down all the fucking trees in the forest. But then when you get to that point where you are able to reveal and accept yourself and accept the consequences of that reveal, there's also an overcompensating that happens there too, because at that point it's like being release the hounds. You've released the hounds, and as a result, you don't want to have to hold back because you've lived a life holding back. Now you want to go big or go home, essentially. So you have to look at the different stages of coming out for people. If you find a lot of times certain guys and girls, when they have come out of the closet, they are a lot more flamboyant. They're a lot more in your face. They're joining all the groups on Facebook. They're going on to all the clubs and that kind of stuff. And then 6 months in or a year in, you don't see that presence anymore because they've lived it out, and now it's become normal for them, as opposed to
very interesting. Lisa, before we go on, anything else?
No, Bella is right there, because I know I'm experienced that right now with my transition, with me coming out and living my life. Yeah, I am going out there. That's why I'm on this show right now. I do my YouTube show. I am putting myself so out there and just meeting so many people. It will be interesting to see 2 years down the line, after I've had my operation, how I will be as a person. Will I be more calmer or still be as flamboyant or not?
This is one thing, Charlie, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but I spoke to Lisa about this personally. And we both agreed for the transgendered sector. For Lisa, once Lisa gets her pussy, because she's already a woman in my eyes, in my eyes, her body still just has to catch up. Once she has that pussy, she will be, on her own volition, by her own estimation, fully a woman. So what she will have to deal with is no longer referring to herself as Lisa, the transgendered person, or transgender. She will actually be a woman. What you have to decide if there's more to you than just having a cunt. If there's more to you than just having a pair of tits. You have to. You have to do this now. You can't wait for it until your pussy arrives in the mail. You have to develop who Lisa is and who you are before that final seal of physical approval. You know what I mean?
Very, very interesting, ladies. We have time for one more comment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, carry on, Charlie.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we have a Jack from Colorado. This is the final comment because the comment seemed to... Okay. Jack says, I've been browsing the shows on Blog Talk Radio and stumbled across the Charlie Spice Show. I enjoy the episodes. I recently started watching porn and often wondered, what are the long-term effects of a woman or a man have anal sex?
Okay. Yes, there is. This is quite a subject. Okay, I will tell you first a scary story for the listeners. I do know somebody whose aunt indulged in a lot of anal sex, and she, as a sex worker, this is the niece, will not do anal sex because what she's seen her aunt. Her aunt had so much anal sex that she's lost the ability to close that muscle, that when she needs to go to the bathroom, she has to run. So I'm just saying to people, beware of the woman that if you're going to have too much anal sex.
I think that there's the sphincter and the entire anal cavity, much like the pussy, after a prolonged amount of penetration over and over for months, years, or whatever, it can become lax. The anal walls are surprisingly resilient and can take a good, pardon the pun, pounding, but they are also susceptible to damage. And I don't know if you can imagine it. Having any damage inside that cavity would be difficult to treat, uncomfortable to treat, and what can also happen too is something called a prolapsed anus, where the muscles collapse, the opening has been gaped, and essentially it looks as if your arsehole has fallen out of itself. Now that happens in extreme cases with extremely large penetration, and there's a whole sector of pornography dedicated to anal prolapse. But I think in the same way that women do Kegel exercises to strengthen, tone, and tighten the pussy muscles, you can do the same thing with your arsehole. If anal sex, or if being on the receiving end of anal sex is your thing, learn to fucking clench. I'm doing it right now. I'm fucking clenching my cunt and my arse at the same time. So if I can do it during a fucking beautiful show like this, you can do it right now while you're replying to the email.
I would advise the woman that...
inside information, Bella.
You're welcome.
I would advise the women that are receiving the anal sex, just don't do too much of it. You know, allow the muscle to gain strength, because it's got to do with your muscle. And that's, you know, Charlie, what's interesting is I only learned recently what an actual butt plug is really used for. And what it is that... Okay, I always thought a butt plug was purely for sexual pleasure. You know, people put it up their butt, but it's not. It's actually placed in to relax the muscle of your anus, that it loosens up. Because as soon as somebody sticks a finger up the arse, and why people have the pain is it's because your butt feels something foreign there, so it clenches and tightens. So with the butt plug, it allows the muscle to relax and slowly get used to having something foreign in its butt. And then, because normally they would say a person should wear a butt plug for about 10 minutes before sex, and when they pull it out, they will be able to have receive anal sex without any pain and difficulty at all.
I have to say, in terms of the butt plug, in my line of work, what I use, the butt plug is for something completely different. While I do use it as a gape training, because I have some slaves who just adore being anally stretched, it's also as a form of submission for some men, or at least for my clients anyway. For some men, when I stop up their arseholes with a butt plug, what it says to them is that nothing can get inside. They're not allowed to be fucked. They're not worthy of being fucked. So they stop it up. You can't be used. You're just useless to me. So there are many uses for the butt plug, but specifically to anal sex for people who are not necessarily submissive, it is an excellent tool to not only to relax the muscles, but also to strengthen them, because a lot of times you'll have people who are accustomed to anal sex, and they will use smaller butt plugs to clench and to recalibrate the anus muscle itself.
Wow. Can I stop unclenching now? Because that conversation just made me clench so tight.
You're all puckered
scary.
up, Charlie. You're like a balloon knot. You're all puckered up.
Yes. Oh, good Lord. Nothing is getting up there. Let me tell you, ladies. Listen, we've come to the end of today's episode. On the next show, I'm hoping to get a lady by the name of Anne Bissell, who is the author of a book, Memoir Sex Industry Survivor. She's also the executive director of a national charity and helps survivors of violence. She's also the founder of Sex Industry Survivors Anonymous. Her mission is to de-glamorize. Oh, we're gonna enjoy this conversation. De-glamorize the global billion-dollar sex industry, which she believes is not a victimless crime. Bissell has studied women in the sex industry for nearly 2 decades. She's also worked extensively with women in the criminal justice system with the mission to help them out of prostitution, or the life as it is called. So let's hope we can get Anne Bissell on the show. She actually sent me an email in response to my invitation to come on the show, and while we were actually chatting a few minutes ago, she tried to call me, and so that was the call that was coming through. So let's see if we can get her on the show. Ladies, what do you think about that?
I think that's going to be wonderful. I think the show is going to be next week Tuesday at the same time, same place. I think everybody should listen in. Even if they can't listen in, you know that you can come on to Blog Talk Radio, listen to the show as an archive recording or as a podcast, and it's going to be great. Send us your questions. I mean, I passed on my contact information. You get me at Twitter at Big Bellanova, or you can, write to Charlie. Send him your questions again and your feedback. Let us know who you want on the show and what you want discussed, because obviously we have no problem tackling it all.
Fantastic. Lisa, how do they get in touch with you? Lisa the Pleaser.
They can find me on Twitter as Lisa the Pleaser. Thank you, Bella, for the
You're
name
welcome.
you gave me. I can also be reached at Niagara Vibe at gmail.com. That's Niagara Vibe, all one word, at gmail.com.
Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this episode of Adult Industry Talk. I would like to thank our sponsors, guests, and our production team. I would also like to thank our listeners for tuning in and giving us an audience. We appreciate your support. If you have an interesting experience, opinion, or agenda about the sex or adult industry to share with our audience, we invite you to be a guest on the show. Please contact our production team at charliespice@gmail.com or visit our website at adultindustrytalk.com. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast. You can listen to a repeat of this episode in the archives at any time in the future. Simply go to our website and follow the links. I am your host, Charlie Spice, saying bye for now, peace and love,